Hello, and welcome to another video episode of my podcast. My name is Cheryl, and this is Cappuccino Crafts, my little channel on YouTube and my corner of the general interwebs where I like to talk about knitting and sometimes crochet and books and TV and movies and other life and chatty things. So, I hope that you're doing well. Today is the 12th of April, and it's another Monday, and today is a gorgeous, sunny, blue sky spring day here in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, where I live and where I record. So, thank you very, very much for choosing to watch this video and spend a little bit of your time with me. I really hope that you enjoy it. And let's get started. Please settle in, get yourself a delicious beverage, and let's enjoy a lovely visit together. So, first of all, a little bit something difficult to talk about, but I feel it's very important, and it has been really on my mind. I have not been watching court coverage of the Derek Chauvin trial. He is the police officer who killed George Floyd with his knee on his neck for 9 whole minutes while he was handcuffed and laying down on the ground. Anyway, okay. Yeah, but I have been watching, I have seen a few clips of a little bit of testimony and caught some short updates to kind of track what's happening with that, not following it really closely and extensively, but I have wanted to keep an eye on that. And even while we're in the middle of this trial, there are still in Virginia, just a day or two ago, a sergeant, I don't know what branch of the U.S. military, but he was a military U.S. sergeant, got pulled over and in a traffic stop and threatened by a police officer while he was in his military uniform. And then there was another shooting and killing. I don't know any of the details on that, but I just saw a quick headline. Even while we're in the middle of this trial, it should be blatantly obvious that there is a huge problem. But still, people refuse to acknowledge, and still police officers are acquitted every time. We don't know yet what the outcome will be for Derek Chauvin. So I don't know. There may be a first time, or it may be another acquittal. We will have to wait to find out. But it is very upsetting, very outrageous. I do want to just recommend a few books. 2 of them I have read. One of them is specifically about police violence and also a little bit of the justice and court system in the United States. The title of this book is Who Do You Serve? Who Do You Protect? And this is a collection of essays. And it is published by Haymarket Press. They are an independent press. I read this last year and it was so eye-opening and educational. I really, really appreciate it and recommend it. And one thing I really liked about it is that the front half of the book, those essays are focused on depicting the problem and showing the evidence and talking about the systemic problems and specific cases with the police. And then the second half of the book, those essays are about activism and proposals and ideas for ways to move forward and alternative programs. Some of them are already or have been tried. What could we possibly imagine for a different system, for ways to move forward? So I liked that. The other book is kind of just a general primer on race and racism. And this is called So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. Yeah, because these are hard conversations to have. I really like it. I highly recommend it. And a couple of books I have heard and read so many recommendations about. So I feel really comfortable passing it on. But the first one is Between the World and Me. It is by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And it is a letter that he wrote to his son about being a Black male and growing up and becoming an adult Black male in the United States, and some of the, specific situations and specific challenges that he wants his son to be aware of and prepared for. Another is kind of just a general author recommendation, and not all of her books deal with the court system and prisons, but a good number of them do. She also writes a lot about feminism from a Black woman's perspective. And this is Angela Davis. She was wrongfully imprisoned for something that she did not do and spent her time in prison, and then was released. And now she is an activist and writing about feminism and also the court and prison system, and advocating for changes, reforms, alternatives. For anybody who wants to learn more, I wanted to throw those recommendations out there. So thank you for listening. Now, let's move on. And again, this week, there has been no crafting. There just hasn't, and that's how it is. But reading has been going really, really well. And let's talk about the reading. I am currently partly through 3 books. The first one is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, and I am kind of in the home stretch on this one, and wow, things are really kicking up, and it's just going to get more and more as the date of the solstice and eclipse approaches. I love it. And one thing about this book that I haven't mentioned yet, because I've been talking about, some of the politics and some of the exciting things and about the characters. But one thing I have not mentioned that I'll take a minute to talk about today is that this is the first book, fiction or nonfiction, that I have read that uses neopronouns for non-binary characters. And to see that, it was like really exciting and cool. And I'm like, wow. And there is one very important non-binary character. And then I just got introduced to another supporting character who also is non-binary. And there is even a trans character. So the gender representation in this book is great. And I wanted to take note of that and let you know about that. Okay. And the next book that I am still reading is The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. And the last time I talked to you, I was still a little bit meh about the book. And it has, for me, gotten better after that last Monday, and I continued reading this week. There's been a lot more of exploration about the haunting and also more development of the characters that makes me feel a bit more invested in their relationship. And I started a new book. I am reading the third book in the Psy Changeling series, and the title is Caressed by Ice by Nalini Singh. This is a speculative or paranormal romance series. I kind of feel like it's more sci-fi in tone, because even though with the psychic powers and the changeling things, it's not so much magic based, but there are scientific explanations given for these things. So it feels a little bit more on the sci-fi speculative than the fantasy paranormal side. But it kind of straddles that line a little bit with, in this world, humanity has kind of evolved into 3 different tracks, or 3 different species, if you will. There are the Psy, who have psychic powers, and they also are connected together in a psychic network called the PsyNet, and their minds, the way their psychic minds are, they need the feedback and a link with other minds in order to survive. There are the changelings, and they are shapeshifters. So they shift between human form and an animal form. And there are wolf changelings, leopard changelings, other kinds of animal changelings, and they have packs. Well, the social animals do. There are wolf changeling packs, leopard changeling packs, and so on. And there are also non-predator animal changelings, but we haven't met any of them yet. And then there are just humans without any specific special abilities or powers, just, humans, like the way, we are in our present reality. So yeah, it's a really interesting world, and there's a lot of politics. And in this series, it is, like I said, a romance series too. So in each novel, there is a different couple that is, finding love, establishing their relationship. But there's also an overarching, larger plot in the world with the politics between the different groups, and there are sometimes murder mysteries. In the first one, there was a Psy serial killer, and they were trying to find him and stop him. And yeah, so there's a lot of things going on, and I really like this series, and I like the world. And I enjoy the romance part of it too. It does get steamy. It's definitely steamy. And yeah, so this is the third book, and I'm not very far into it yet because I just started it, but it's already really, really good. I am really interested in the characters that we're focusing on in this book, and I think their story is going to be really great, and there is a lot. The world building is just continuing to grow and grow, and the world in this installment, the world is really expanding, and we're learning a lot more about different aspects of the Psy, and it's really, really good. So yay! Yay, reading! It's going great. And I also watched a movie. What? I know, I haven't sat down and watched a movie in quite a while. But I finally watched Blade Runner 2049. I love the original Blade Runner movie. It's like one of the top sci-fi movies of all time for me. Love it. And I don't know why it took me this long to watch the sequel, Blade Runner 2049. I really can't explain it, but I finally watched it, and it is really, really good. I liked it quite a bit. And just like the first Blade Runner, visually it is mwah! It is a visual feast. It is beautifully shot. The settings, the colors, the lighting, everything. It's just gorgeous. The framing, the cinematography, and the framing of every shot, every scene, and It completely lives up to that high quality of the visuals in the original. And the original was super groundbreaking when it came out. And this has that same kind of gritty feel. And it definitely feels like it is from the same world and, 20 or however many years in the future of that world. And it's just, and also the cast, the cast and the performances, the acting is top. So good. And the story is really interesting. I loved it. Loved it. So I slept on this movie for so long. It's very likely, if you are interested in sci-fi movies, it's very likely you may have already seen it. I'd love to hear about it, what you thought about it when you saw it, if you have seen it. And if you slept on it like I did and you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a favor. Please go watch it because it is so good. So good. And I think that's everything for today. Thank you very much if you're still watching at this point. And I hope you are well. I hope you and all your family and all your loved ones are well and safe. And if you are crafting, I hope all of your creative projects are turning out exactly the way you envision them and that you're having so much fun. And I hope that you're loving what you're reading and watching. And talk to you later. Bye-bye.